Hi students, I hope you're enjoying the course so far. I wanted to talk through with you a little bit of the handout on nature versus nurture. This handout goes with Module 3 of our course. And as you can see, there's a lot of information here, and this is based on a field called behavior genetics. And behavior genetics is interested in the interplay between nature, things that we are born with biologically, such as our genes, or perhaps our temperament, or perhaps a birth defect, and nurture, which are things in our environment, such as parental influence, or the influence of the neighborhood that we grew up in. So gene by environment interaction is just looking at how do these two things interplay to make us who we are. People don't really talk about nature versus nurture anymore. Everyone recognizes that it's both. I think what you'll realize as you work through this module, though, is that most people have underestimated the role of nature in psychological traits, such as how aggressive we are, or assertive, or outgoing. Those things may be much more influenced by our genes than people previously believed. You should walk through and study these terms, genotype and phenotype, and range of reaction. I want to just speak a little bit to that idea of range of reaction. So here's one for height. Let's say that someone's genotype predicts that they will be between 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches tall. Well, how tall are they going to be? That may in part depend on the environment in which they live. If they live in a poor country with malnutrition, they're probably going to end up shorter. If they smoke cigarettes during puberty, their adult height will be shorter than it would have been if they had not smoked cigarettes. That gives you an example of how the environment can affect this range of reaction, so that the actual phenotype that is expressed depends upon that environmental input. If you made up an example for intelligence, you might talk about how if a person grows up in an area where parents read to them, they're going to have higher IQ than if they don't, and etc. Canalization just means the environment really can't make a difference. So pretty much no matter where you're born, as long as there's nothing neurologically wrong with you, you will begin walking right around 1 year of age. It seems to be built into our species. It's a canalized trait. Same thing with eye color, unless of course you buy color contacts, and then that's a whole different story. I like thinking about Sandra Scar's theory. It just sort of makes me feel as a parent like maybe I don't need to worry about every single thing that I do with my child. Maybe her genes will lead her to certain interests and behaviors. Be sure you review the idea of niche picking and evocative. I don't have time to go through all of this now. I want to be sure to talk to you a little bit about heritability. Heritability, I don't need you to know how to figure it out, just know that it tells you the degree of genetic influence. So if you look here at anxiety has a pretty strong genetic influence. The closer you get to 1, the more genetic influence on that trait. So 0.7 is pretty strong genetic influence. This one surprises me. In the studies that have been done so far, a belief in God does not seem to be strongly genetic. Seems to be shaped more by one's environment. And then as you can see, the studies that have been done so far in sexual orientation seem to just contribute to the ongoing controversy about whether sexual orientation has a strong genetic influence or it can be influenced by the environment as well. So you can walk through that on your own. I think I'll stop it there for purposes of you trying to download this and making sure it isn't too long. Let's see. Be sure you know shared and non-shared experiences for the exam and also the epigenetic view. Okay, post any questions you have in virtual office.